Talk to me about this, the female-male dynamic in the workplace. I mean, at Success, we're constantly searching the world over to find great women to put on the cover of our magazine. It's difficult. There aren't a ton to choose from. Talk to us about your experience with situations in the workplace on the male-female dynamic and what women can do to either overcome it or just to show their strength.
Well, you got a couple of questions rolled in there. I'll handle the cover. Why aren't more women on your cover in a minute? Most importantly, all things being equal, if I had a situation for any position to hire a man or a woman, with all things being equal, I always pick the woman. And that's the truth. And this is why. Women work harder than men. I know that's not always true, and I know I shouldn't stereotype, but women generally, I'm trying to think of an exception. A few gay men maybe worked as hard, but women work very hard, okay? They also work differently. I found that women in the workplace, managers, salespeople, support staff, whoever, financiers, they were less territorial. They knew how to hold hands in a sisterhood a little bit better than the men naturally did, who I often had turf wars on, ego turf wars, which I didn't really have with women, I found. And maybe because I was a female running, maybe that makes a difference. I don't know how that card plays in, all right? But I'm certainly not a female type female. Now, I would have made a great guy. I know that about myself. In fact, even my own 18-year-old said, "What a shame you weren't a lesbian. You'd be so much happier." So go figure, whatever. But he wouldn't be born now. So what's he talking about? All right. But going back to women and men in the workplace, what gets in the way of women that didn't get in my way is being not only the breadwinner, but unofficially the head of the family, which women are. Okay, they might not be called the head of the family, but they figure out, for the most part, there are exceptions now with younger men coming up the pike, thank God, okay? But women figure out how the kids are going to get fed, how the husband's going to get fed, which household they're picking, what needs redecorating, what's the scheduling, who needs a tutor, who's got to go to the PTA meeting, okay, who's going to plan the vacation, where are they going, what's the budget? Women are the CEO of the home in 9 out of 10 instances. If you saddle on their back, be a CEO at the offices too, they can't do it easily. Men can, because they have often their wife as the CEO at home. So now enter into that, and I don't offer this as an excuse. I offer it because I lived it, and I'll address that one second. But women can't do both. As a man can't do both, but men aren't required to do both. Certainly they're required to be a dad, but they're not required almost always, or in my day, and even to today mostly, to be in charge of everything else. I happen to have my business I gave birth to when I was 23. I happened to not have a child till I was 46. I had from 23 to 46 to build my empire. If I had had my son Tommy anywhere sooner, I would not have had that business grow as it did. I would have not nearly had that success. I had my kids late. All right. Once I had Tommy born, do you know, even though I had a line of managers and everything in perfect order in my business, because I'm very anal in that way, perfectly run, do you know, I could not run my business nearly as well as I used to because I had sibling rivalry in my heart. I had my kid I wanted to be 150% mom to. I was a wife, of course, I wanted to be 150% mom to when I wasn't being a 20% mom, quietly. And then I had my business. I couldn't do it all. But once you have children, everything changes. And I'll tell you something else. Women in many ways make much more complex, prudent decisions, career choices than men do. They're often the whistleblowers that cost them their job. They're often the person who is offered the top position and says, you know what, it's just not worth it. Whereas a man more aptly tends to go more down the line on what's expected in that way. It's sounding terrible. I better answer this whole thing all over again, right? It's sounding like I like women better than men, and I do in terms of the workforce. But if you're asking me why you don't have more women on your cover, the main reason is because women still have the children, emotionally and physically. And the emotional card is the one that is the most draining, not the 9 months. It's the 22 years that follow.
Mm. Well, I mean, I agree with you. And I agree with you that given the things all being equal, I would pick the woman as well when it comes to hiring somebody that can do a great job. You've obviously invested in quite a few entrepreneurs and their businesses as a shark on the Shark Tank. Give us the biggest thing that you look for when you are deciding to invest in someone's business and why that's the most important thing for you. I know you talked about judgment, so let's just mark that as one of the things. What else are you looking for when people are presenting their ideas to you about a new business venture?
I'm really looking for the character trait of the ability to get to the finish line, the persistence, the ability to persuade me that they're going to get there, because it's so easy to be excited in the beginning of anything and very hard to work the lack of excitement when it's fading and you're just dogged and determined to keep plugging away. All right. That's what I'm looking for. I have a couple of businesses that were in one business. I picked the right entrepreneur, but I quickly realized they were in the wrong business. There wasn't enough in that business to really make a killing with. And they switched businesses and are far more successful in another one because I picked the right entrepreneur. So it's really not the product. I mean, let's say, for example, I invested in pork barrel barbecue sauce. There are probably 20,000 barbecue brands out there. How are two guys, ex-attorneys, going to build a barbecue sauce business when there's obviously no need for it, right? It's the personality. It's their sheer determination, no matter what, they keep plugging away. And so if they said, we hate barbecue sauce, we decided we were wrong, I would go right with them in whatever other business. They're the right entrepreneurs. They've got it. They've just got it. And they will be enormously successful in that space, and they're already 2/3 there. But it is that one trait. That's all I'm focused on. And you want to know something? It's funny. I hired salespeople my whole life. And so you sit in an interview with someone who has no sales experience, no job experience. They're telling you they want to sell real estate on a commission basis. What was my job my whole life? Trying to figure out who would do it, who wouldn't, who could do it, who would be unable to do it. And you want to know what trait was I looking for? I was looking for the same old dogged determination that I'm looking for in my entrepreneurs. A great entrepreneur is a salesman. He can sell you on his vision and his product. And when you keep saying no and throwing him out, he keeps showing up. That's what you want. That's what you want in any business owner, because that's what really determines whether they're going to be successful or not.